What is going on, everyone, and welcome to Around the Metaverse, our weekly show where we bring together some of the best content creators from the Web3 gaming community, talk about all the recent news, and give you guys everything you need to know to stay up to date. My name's Adam. I'll be your host today, but more importantly, we've got an amazing group of guests for you guys, as always. First and foremost on this amazing Monday, we got CryptoStache in the house. How's it going, Stash?
Yo, doing it. Back from 3XP. It was fun. It was exciting. It was tiring, but I loved it. Every last minute, every drop, I soaked it up.
Fun, exciting, and tiring. I think those three words are the quintessential conference, summation for any conference. Anyone who's been to a conference knows it's a whole lot of fun and a great time. I'm sure 3XP was amazing. But we also have some great guests for the show tonight, who some of them are also there. First up, we have Iceyyy Gaming. Iceyyy, good to have you back on the show, man. Founder of Web3 Gamer and content creator. How was 3XP, my friend?
Yo, what up, Adam? 3XP was amazing, man. Hung out with Stash quite a bit. Always great to see the Stash in person. Also saw his cousin, brother, Stashius the Great. So that was quite a lot of fun. And man, I just can't say enough about like an entire expo dedicated to Web3 gaming. It was like all I could ask for. It was incredible to be there. Shout out to Community Gaming and the team that put 3XP together. Chris, Michelle, Ethan. Really superb job, and can't wait for the next one.
Hell yeah, man. And yeah, shout out 3XP and everyone who is working behind the scenes to put together 3XP, man. Or Community Gaming, excuse me. Community Gaming 3XP. I'm tying my words up. But next up, we got making another appearance here on the show, friend of the show, Kyle Willson, co-host and research at Paul Barron TV and co-founder of Wildfire Guild. Kyle, how's it going, my friend?
Man, what's going on, everybody? Excited to be on the channel again, and shout out to CryptoStache for bringing me on. And yeah, seeing the event, man, it was a blast. I was like vicariously living through Stash's feed and seeing him shoot the basketball and be at the Phase Warehouse. So it looked really fun, and I wish I could be there.
Yeah, man.
Bro, you have no idea how hard it is to try and play hoops in slacks, loafers, and a freaking trench coat and a wool hat. So I appreciate you seeing that.
You need an NBA disguise. You need like a Jackie Moon outfit,
I was shocked, man. A convention full of gamers, and everyone was playing basketball at the Phase Warehouse. It was
no, that's because the Smash. There was only 2 setups to play Smash Brothers, and they were taking the whole night, man.
Yeah, that is true.
I mean, Smash Bros. #1, basketball #2. That is typically how it goes.
Or go-karts. I was up on those go-karts.
Yeah,
that was fun.
Yeah. And then last but certainly not least, making another appearance on the show here, we've got Sanjay, aka FlyeKitesJay, another Web3 gamer and content creator and host of Gambit Plus. Am I pronouncing that right? Gambit?
Yeah.
Sanjay, man,
happy
to have you on. How's it going?
Thank you for having me again. I appreciate being here. You know what? Last week I was like tweeting everybody, texting everybody saying that, hey, I'm not going to be online. I don't want any, 3XP FOMO. I'm missing out. So this week I started off strong. I was like, okay, no more 3XP. And the first thing I hear about in the show is Stash telling me about go-karts. Like, when did that happen? Like, yo, I just want to go home now. Like, I just want to go to sleep. This is like, I'm getting big major FOMO still.
I unfortunately couldn't. Staff, we'll check out the shorts. Staff, go for it.
No, let me not tell you though. I mean, the FOMO's gone. It's over. You missed it already. So the missing out is done. You don't have to worry about missing out because you already did. I'm sorry, man.
No.
Next time.
We're all gonna continue to shame and guilt you for not being there, Sanjay. You were
I'm
one
not
of the
trying to
top
shame and
people.
guilt. I'm just saying you don't have to it doesn't have to be there because you've already
Fair.
made like it's gone. Like just accept it. So
Let it go.
You're one of my
Let it
best
go, Sanjay.
Web3 friends, so I'm so sad that you weren't there in person, man.
I'll be there next time. I swear.
Yes.
I promise.
We'll be at the next one. But yeah, man, thank you guys for coming on the show tonight. We've got a bunch of interesting things to talk about. Some breaking news again today, as has been tradition the last few shows. Talking about some more fallout from the SEC and something crazy going on in the Web 2 world as well with Call of Duty and nickmercs. A bunch of streamers getting involved in the drama with people's assets being pulled from the game, a whole bunch of politically correctness and virtue signaling going on Twitter. You guys know how it goes, and if you're not familiar, that's what we're going to dive into right now. So let's get into it. So if you haven't heard, nickmercs, an extremely popular streamer in the Call of Duty space, recently made some you know, he put his opinion out there on Twitter, and Call of Duty didn't very much appreciate it, and because of that, they're pulling his assets from the game. So he had a skin bundle and all this cool stuff in the game that had just recently come out, and you know, in a matter of hours, you know, it's off the store. Fallout from this is continuing with people like Dr. Disrespect chiming in on it, and even Tim the Tatman is supporting nickmercs, who is also having a skin bundle come out, saying, you know, if nickmercs bundle is off, take mine off too. And it's creating a whole lot of drama on Twitter. So make sure you guys check out what's going on Twitter after that. But I want to get your guys' opinion on all of this, and more importantly, if Call of Duty is making the right decision to pull these streamers' content from the game. I mean, censorship is a big issue. I want to get your opinion on it. Stash, let me ask you first. I mean, how would you feel being a content creator if you had a skin in a game and all this marketing push behind it, and you know, you tweet something, you're tweeting your opinion, and out of nowhere, the game you have the skin in just comes out and says, "Yep, it's over. We're cutting all ties with you." You know, how would that make you feel?
We don't get opinions. They're done. That's it. You can't have an opinion. Especially being a content. If someone follows you, if you cannot have an opinion these days. That's just what that's what we're building here. Is that if you have an opinion and people don't like it, then they're going to do whatever they can to try and, you know, make sure that there is you know, backlash because of that opinion. Now, do I agree with everyone's opinion? Hell no. But I specifically actually follow people who I don't agree with because I don't want to live in an echo chamber. But that's what we're creating here with a lot of this, you know, that overall push towards this direction of, if you have an opinion, then, you know, I'm sorry, then there's nothing we can do. So what you see people, and this is something I've seen more and more, you see people like skirting every issue they possibly can to not give an actual opinion because they're afraid of this happening to them. I know other people feel this way. I do too sometimes, but I don't give a shit, man. I'm too small for anyone to really give a, you know, to care too much. But if I was in this same situation, I would be sad. I mean, of course, why not, man? I mean, you know, especially for a game that you've put thousands and thousands of your hours into, right? When we talk about some of the tenets of Web3 and decentralization and NFTs and governance and tokens, you know, part of that is, hey, if I put this much time into a game, why don't I have some sort of say over the direction, over something going on in it, and it doesn't matter. And so in this situation, I think that, yeah, I would be very disappointed, right? I put all this time, and then finally I get this really cool achievement, and then, I mean, it hasn't even been that long. I don't know how long it's been in the store, but maybe like 2 months, 3 months? It hasn't been that long since this skin was in the store. So it would make me pretty sad as well. Now, in my opinion, you know, I would say that, you know, his comment was probably taken a bit out of context. And I think that, you know, people are really quick to be like, here's what he meant by this, and we got to cancel this guy, and he's a bigot, and that means he doesn't like equality, and he hates LGBTQ plus people. And I mean, like, I feel like, you know, the one sentence comment that he made doesn't necessarily warrant that. And so, but it was enough for Call of Duty to say, no, we got to check this. Why? Because they're afraid also of getting some sort of backlash and being tied to him because they've put his skin into the game. You've got to realize that if you're doing that and working with real people, these real people have their opinions. You know, are you going to go through and vet and like say, all right, guys, you know, if we're going to put you in the game and we need this questionnaire. Do you have a problem with gay people? Or do you hate black people? Do you know, like, and you can go down the list, right? I mean, how many questions are you to ask somebody just to make sure that you did your due diligence to put them in the game, and you will avoid backlash. I mean, it's almost impossible. So do I think that we should get rid of, you know, these bundles or these skins? I don't think so. I think it's kind of cool. I think people love it. But the censorship in gaming, you know, is something that maybe, you know, should stay away from the political side and just kind of keep it to the basics, right? Can we just focus on getting rid of cheaters, of bots, and probably people drawing penises all the. I mean, that's kind of right in gaming in itself, but doing it in a way that is probably over the top is maybe something we could do something with. But
well, yeah, I mean,
I'm not a big fan of it. I'm not a big fan of anything that happened and went down here, and you know, in general. You know, I would say if I have to side with somebody and it's going to be a black and white issue, I would side with nickmercs on this one. Now, I don't feel like everything he said was probably the best, But once again, me being a father as well, I can understand. I can see that side of things. I can see that side of things. That doesn't mean that I don't support people or I don't like like equality, but we can do those things, and we can still hold those same ideals true without having merch and having special flags for it. We don't need to have those things to be able to say, hey, yes, I can treat you equal just like everybody else. I don't know. Maybe people think we do. Maybe like, hey, we can't be equal unless we have our own flag that you fly, our own month to promote it, and our own merch to celebrate it. I mean, I think that we can. I'm not saying you can't have those things, but I don't think that they're necessary. That's simple.
Well, yeah, when it comes to censorship in gaming too, I mean, with like things like UGC, I think it makes sense to some degree where it's like if people are putting blatantly offensive things into the game. And like penises or whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, we've talked about a lot about that, like how hard it really is to get a handle on UGC, for sure. But yeah. So I mean, censorship in gaming, I think there is a time and place for it. But I think that sometimes these days it does go a little too far. But that's censorship everywhere. It's not just happening in gaming. It's happening across the board in many places. Now, I don't agree with like a lot of people who say things online like neo-Nazis and sometimes Trump, and like, but I mean, there's a plethora of people that we could say, I don't agree with these people. But that doesn't, I mean, the whole point, and particularly here in the United States, is that's okay. We don't necessarily have to agree with them. But what we all should and can agree with is that everyone should be able to have their say, whether you like it or not, right? And we've kind of gotten away from that. We've gotten away from that.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, and to see nickmercs, and then I mean, Tim the Tatman made the decision on his own to pull in support of nickmercs, but to see that happen is just unfortunate. I want to get your opinion on this, Iceyyy. I mean, do you think that censorship in gaming is an issue now, and like, if not, do you think it could become an issue seeing things like this happen more and more?
Yeah, for sure. Like we've seen this trend over the past few years, right? Censorship and people in cancel culture, and it's making its way into gaming. I agree with a lot of what Stash said, and I'm not just playing it safe by saying that. There's a great term that kind of emerged in response to a lot of this, and it's like, you go woke and you go broke. And that's how I think about this, man. Like, I think that this is probably a mistake on everybody's behalf. Obviously nickmercs can say what he wants and share his opinion. But delving into these topics and these issues, he's got to know that he's going to get some backlash from this, which is, if that's what he wants, and he wants to stand on that and fight that fight, all the power to him. We do have freedom of speech, and I'm a big proponent of that. But Activision and these publishers, they also have a right to make their decisions. But I just think like it's bad on all sides. Had they not done anything, this whole story would have blown over. No, I would have never even heard about it, most likely. They brought way more attention and eyeballs to this, and now it's snowballing into this big thing where Dr. Disrespect is like calling for a protest and a boycott of Call of Duty. So it's just silly, man. Unfortunately, there are times and places for important causes, and we need to speak on them. I hold a lot of progressive ideals, and I stand for a lot of equal rights and things like that. But unfortunately, we get too caught up in these issues, and it just snowballs, and nothing really good comes of it. So, but I don't see it stopping. However, I do think that some of the companies that have highlighted recently, saying like, hey, we're not going to get into this stuff. I think Coinbase was one that was like, guys, we're on a mission here. This was like maybe a year and a half ago. They're like, we're on a mission here. Let's leave politics at home. We support you in your individual beliefs, but like, we're on a mission to bring, cryptocurrency to the world. So let's leave the politics at home, not bring it into the office. Spotify is another one that recently, took a stand against cancel culture and against, this stuff. And it was like, hey man, we're a platform. We're gonna have these artists and songs and things on our platform, and we're not going to get into it. So I do think it's probably a mistake for Activision, Call of Duty and stuff like this to get into, this political back and forth, but they're a private company and they can do what they want, or maybe public company, but they're an organization. They can do what they want. I think it's the wrong thing. But yeah, we'll see.
Well, and that's
yeah,
funny that you say that too, because I do believe they are. I mean, they have shareholders. I'm pretty sure they are a public company.
Activision Blizzard's, it's a public company, and I was going to say that's like ESG is, there's probably people in the company who don't want to like these things to have happened potentially, but it's like the shareholders and the ESG score for them in terms of the stock price. They've got to get behind these things like that. And
well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you think about like how much Call of Duty may lose because of this, and stock pricing. Shareholders are they may not necessarily agree with these types of decisions because of the way they affect them. And I see you're right. I think, man, if they had probably done nothing, I don't know that anybody ever even would have cared. It would never even would have went this far. And nobody would be like, oh my God, I can't believe Call of Duty's not canceling this guy with this skin bundle because he's a bigot. I mean, it just, like it gets to these extremes and everyone wants to take it to the extreme every time. Yeah. There's no middle area. It's just like extreme left or right. And I'm freaking tired of it, man. I'm tired. And you can't be in the center because then people are like, no, you're just you're a centrist. Why don't you get on one side or the other? And I'm just like, come on, man. This is just a freaking setup.
And I mean, this isn't just with Call of Duty and nickmercs and Dr. Disrespect and the Tap Man. I mean, we've seen kind of some sort of drama or turmoil in gaming and esports kind of across the board recently. Let me ask you, Kyle, why do you think that is? I mean, why do you think, it's kind of uncertain times, right? The entire model of esports is being, put into question of like, is it sustainable? All these big esports companies are either having some kind of scandal or, some kind of financial blunder that's happening. What do you think the outlook is, the prognosis is for gaming in Web 2 gaming, and then I guess, going into Web 3 gaming? What do you think is going to happen with all this?
Yeah, I mean, I think the users and the gamers themselves have kind of expressed. You see Dr. Disrespect, what's happened with him. Even over the past several years, he got signed a contract with Twitch. All of a sudden, they try to cancel him. It's just like we keep seeing more of this. And I think, I guess gamers are just going to have to get vocal about it, I guess, and kind of control the narrative a bit more. I'm not really sure. Or maybe push back in a sense. I mean, like what Stash and Iceyyy was saying, like in terms of, I don't know, saying, I mean, having opinions, okay. But you also have to realize you're if you're signed with a company or doing something like that, of course you have to, hone it in a little bit. But I don't know. It's a tricky situation. I guess that's my kind of take on it. I'm not really sure what the path forward is. I mean, there's a lot of drama in the space, but I kind of agree with what Dr. Disrespect, kind of his take on things are typically. Just because, again, they tried to cancel that guy. He had to go to YouTube and restart his whole career basically on a new platform. And that wasn't cool. It was like they didn't even give him a reason. And I think that's unfair to the creator. And I think it's the creator generates a lot of the hype, a lot of the games. The organizations do a lot and the business as well. And you kind of have like these developers or, studios trying to dictate a whole lot and push, narratives on top of the gamers. And I don't think that's cool. So I think when it comes down to the end of the day, it has to be these organizations, gamers kind of stepping up a little bit more and saying like, hey, we help you run this business, that we basically send all the web, these gamers to your company so you can be successful. So it's kind of like the whole Ready Player One, where it's like a little dystopian. You have the IOI company running things, and then you have like gamers trying to, fight back against the kind of institution that's trying to take over. And I think that's what we're kind of seeing in the space. And that's kind of my thoughts on it.
Well, yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. It is uncertain, but, people are still always going to be playing video games. And, one of our senior agents, Captain Jaxie in chat, brings up a good point. Meanwhile, how toxic is any Call of Duty is known for like having the most toxic, like, voice chat of any
There's so many things Call of Duty could have focused their attention on. So many more things that they could have focused their attention on. Yet this is what they choose. Like when you talk about, okay, what move do we make that's going to have the least people stop playing this game? Was this it? Was this the move? When you think about what can we do to keep people playing our game, this is the move that you make out of everything. to save face. This is the move you make. I don't know, man. Could have put your attention probably somewhere else that would have been.
Doesn't seem to be working out in their favor in this case.
No, man.
Sanjay, let me
No,
ask
especially
you,
when you
man.
see, like you said, and like what Kyle was saying, you know, there's these streamers in general have driven a lot of success for these games. Really think about, tell me a game that's successful right now that doesn't have popular streamers streaming that game. And tell me that people they haven't sent probably millions and millions of dollars to that game. This is a huge issue. But there's no say. They get no part of governance. They get nothing in that game. That's part of the reason why we're here in Web3. Part of the reason why we understand that you know, some of these tenets we hold in Web3, like governance, can be important. Maybe they're not worked out perfectly right now, but can still be very important.
Sanjay, I mean, what do you think? Do you think Call of Duty is making the right decision here? Is this the option that is going to net them the least loss in player base?
You know, first of all, they are definitely not making the right decision at all, because as Stash mentioned, right, like nickmercs, Tim the Tatman, they were one of the first few streamers who started streaming Warzone when it came out. And they literally pushed Warzone where it was at its peak. Like they had like about like 1 million players or something every month, and you know, they were killing it. And you know, when nickmercs stopped playing the game because they weren't working on the game, like Call of Duty weren't working on the game, they weren't fixing the issues. There was a meta after a meta after a meta in game. They would leave the guns untouched, unfixed for months at a time, and people would just abuse it. And then they had so many pay to win bundles, which they never fixed. So like Call of Duty has so much wrong going on in their game, and has been going on wrong on the Warzone side of things. I don't really know the multiplayer. I don't really play multiplayer as much, but at least on the Warzone, the battle royale side of things, they have so much wrong going on in the game. And this is what they choose to focus on within a day. Like not in a day, in like half a day, they're like, yeah, delete bundle so quick, right? Like so community driven. But when the community has been begging them to fix their game for more than a year now, and they haven't fixed nothing, the playership, or like the how many players they have every month has gone from like 1 million to like 200,000 or something. Even when they're like they have a new season or something, they barely get any new players playing the game. So no, this was not a good decision. They should not be focused on this. Like they should be focused on their game. They should be focused on fixing the game, attracting users. And you know, nickmercs is an OG in the Call of Duty community, in the Warzone community. And maybe his comment was a little bit off. Maybe the post he made the comment under was a little bit off. But it's just one sentence, just a thought. He threw it out there. Maybe he was taking a poop or something in the washroom, put that comment out, didn't think about it, and just went on with his day, right? Like
he had toilet brain.
Don't tweet, don't poop and tweet, man. Woo.
Well, like Stash was saying earlier, it's like what happened to discourse? Like, like why can't Call of Duty and nickmercs kind of work this out amongst themselves, or like email back? Like, why wasn't there like a little bit of back and forth? Like, hey, we would like to talk to him a little bit, or maybe give him a chance to, if the tweet was like super bad, you know, obviously like there could have been a little bit more that happened that didn't. It was just like immediately like you're canceled, and then it just makes nickmercs look like a certain way, and it could affect his business and his followers and subscribers, and it could ruin his career. So it is one of those things where whether you agree with it or not, it just gets into the area of affecting somebody's life, and a company having so much control over that, and that's where I think it gets a little weird.
Actually, just to add on that, actually, what's worse is that they didn't even wait for him to clarify and make a new video before canceling his bundle. They canceled his bundle, and then just like the next day, he came out with like a detailed video of explaining it, right? And funny story, like he has gained more followers, gained more subscribers on Twitter, on Twitch after the whole debacle, right? It's like Bud Light, right? Like as you go broke, right? And the people are so passionate about it, at the right side of people, let's say, they're so passionate about it that they were going out of the way to pay nickmercs just because he had to go through that whole scene. But yeah,
and the passion of the community is what it's all about, man. I mean, shout out the Zorro Gala in the chat here, hitting it right on the head. The only important thing that makes a video game innovative, great, and successful is their players, us, the gamers. and Call of Duty is clearly like, you know, discourse, Kyle. Discourse doesn't get headlines. That's why there was no discourse, because and you know Sanjay, fixing bugs and UX stuff in the game also doesn't make headlines. What makes headlines? You know, canceling people right nowadays. That's what makes headlines. So
it's the same. You know what it is, man? It's the same damn trick that Gary Gensler is trying to play on us too, man. The dude is just gobbling up, trying to get headlines, just smashing on people for no reason when he could have just easily avoided all this stuff. And it's like we're beset and besieged by this. All like I mean, like us being Web3 gamers, we're like getting attacked from every single direction. Being a gamer, being in crypto and Web3, it just boom, boom, boom. The punches always come after us, man. I don't know.
The night is always darkest before the dawn, right? The night is always darkest before the dawn. I mean, hopefully, right?
I don't know, man. Unless we're in like a solar eclipse for fucking 10 years, who knows?
But yeah, what Stash was hinting at for those who aren't keeping up to date, breaking news again today. More on the SEC fallout from last week, what we were talking about. There was actually a new bill here in the U.S. Introduced to the House of Representatives that is called the SEC Stabilization Act. That's going to, well, the main part of it, the big headline from this is that they're actually going to try and get rid of Gary Gensler, the devil himself in the SEC. So yeah, the government, I mean, hopefully at least our elected leaders, right, are starting to see that the SEC is a corrupt organization led by Gary Gensler. This bill they're introducing is going to have to go through the House and the Senate, and ultimately the president, if it's actually going to go through, right? And it makes a few changes to reorganize the SEC a bit, getting rid of Gary Gensler as the chairman, and adding a couple different positions to kind of hopefully, make this an institution that's going to do what it's meant to, which is, I think, foster capital innovation or something like that for the American people, or something along those lines, which clearly it's not doing and hasn't been doing for decades at this point. I want to get your guys' opinion. Well, and this also comes after more in the world of crypto, where places like Robinhood, more lawsuits coming out, some against Coinbase. SEC approves Coinbase's IPO, but then months later comes back and says, oh no, we're going to sue you anyways for offering unregistered securities, even though we did a thorough review and previously a few months ago said that wasn't the case. That's, we just lied and that was all right. But all sorts of things, Robinhood pulling assets in market, selling their clients' assets if they don't do anything with them. It's crazy times right now. I want to get your guys' thoughts on what's going on here, man. I mean, are we ever going to catch a break? Kyle, let me ask you first, man. Like, what do you think? Do you think we're going to continue to see companies delist tokens and all sorts of craziness, or do you think now that this bill is introduced, we're going to see people starting to push back a little bit more against this?
Yeah, it just that's a tough prediction to do, but I think we'll see probably companies in the short term delist, maybe not the major ones. I don't know. I mean, what companies do we have even left at this point? But I do think that it's going to ramp up to a larger political fight. I think there's already people aligning across each aisles to battle it out. So that's what I'm kind of seeing in the macro. You're seeing, some congressmen step up and, basically push to fire Gary Gensler and restructure the SEC a little bit. So it's good to see that kind of happen in the Congress and hopefully in the Senate too. But it's one of those times where, this is probably the most difficult time in crypto that I've seen. And I've been here a long time, since 2017. But I think we'll get through it. I think, it's up to people in America to elect the right leaders that are pro crypto, obviously, and that have a good knowledge that can take the right actions and steps for crypto. Because, I've listened to the congressional hearings about Web3. Even they've mentioned, digital collectibles. They mention gaming tokens specifically, and they do recognize that there needs to be different categories for these tokens. So there's smart people there. It's just now we need a lot of these people to step up and just take some action, and get educated on it. Maybe educate other people. And I think it's a bipartisan issue. I don't think it should be this or that or the other. But anyways, that's kind of my take on it. I don't know what we'll see in terms of, exchanges, listing, delisting. Probably see like the Robinhoods, maybe. I don't know if Cash App has anything on there. I think they're just Bitcoin, so they're probably safe. But other than that, I think Coinbase is maybe the last one. We might see some delistings there too. Who knows? Maybe they'll pause everything but Bitcoin. Time will tell.
Well, yeah, it'll be like a throwback to 2016 or 2017. When it was like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin on Coinbase, then like Bitcoin Cash. It's
just like 3, and then
it was so funny.
Why
man,
are they going after like go after some of these really crappy? When you're talking about like
Ethereum Classic,
protecting the investors. There's so much other like really super scammy things they could have gone after, except for legit projects that are just like, well, these are high profile. Let's go. Let's get them first.
Well, with Coinbase, you can pull like, tax reports and like, there's so much they can still regulate there, but they're not going to go after like the weird peer-to-peer like scam websites. It just doesn't make too much sense. And I don't know. Maybe we'll see some regulation come out of it.
Well, yeah, and it doesn't make sense that now they're doing this, especially when, like you say, Kyle, it's like back when there were only 3 coins on Coinbase, there was no tax like option or panel for you to like see all of your transactions and have a nice little CSV. I mean, well, there was, but it wasn't as user friendly. But all the tools we have nowadays to like actual interest from the industry in like abiding by the SEC's regulations has gone unnoticed. Well, probably not unnoticed, but blatantly ignored is a better word by Gary Gensler and the SEC. And it's like, what the hell, man. Sanjay, let me ask you. I mean, did you expect to see these kinds of reactions from companies so soon? This lawsuit's happening, and then also the companies responding by delisting tokens, and even like Robinhood's going to market sell all of their clients' assets. It's like, if you don't do anything with these by today or like this time, we're just going to market sell it all. Like, is that right?
Has everyone gone insane here? I don't get, dude, Twitch, like all these crypto companies, Call of Duty, what is going on right now, man? I just don't get it, man. Is everyone just out to destroy everything?
Bear market vibes, Stash. Bear market vibes.
Yeah. It's a giant.
There's gotta be something in the water, right? There gotta be something in the water. I don't know what's going on. So, like, to be honest, I did expect some, some backlash, the price is going down and stuff like that. First of all, I'm not really sure how big Robinhood really is. Yeah, they got like a lot of like coins on there. They got a lot of assets, like you can trade on there. But I don't really know how much volume they really have. So me personally, them delisting or listing doesn't really make a difference. I'm more worried about what Coinbase's next step is, what Binance's next step is, like the exchanges that really matter, right? And if you don't know, like in Canada, we had Binance before, and Binance got whatever. Binance is not allowed to work in Canada anymore, and they gave us like about 6 months to do something with our assets, but they never told us, or they never just market sold our assets. That's just so insane to me. It's like somebody coming to your house and being like, "Hey, you're getting, like, we're going to sell your house no matter what, like buy this 6 months or whatever." And do whatever you want to do with it. Like, it's just so crazy to me that they're market selling people's assets without their permission.
Which, I mean, just to clarify, they are giving them the option to transfer it out into a wallet first. But like, if you don't do anything or like aren't paying attention to the notices and things like that, you're just,
which is a big part of Americans too, right? Like a lot of Americans might have just like have some, bought some crypto last Christmas or something, like just sitting on like $1,000 worth of, let's say, Bitcoin or Ethereum or Solana or whatever, Polygon, and maybe they're not up to date with SEC. Like me being in the crypto space, me being in the Web3 gaming space, I didn't even know about the Stabilization Act until Stash told me about it, right? So like, if I don't know that much, how can we expect every, like a normie, especially the people on Robinhood, because Robinhood is not even that advanced when it comes down to crypto. So, I feel like it's not one of the top exchanges. So they even have like more normies over there. So it's like, I just don't see that's right at all. I think sooner or later, we need decentralized exchanges becoming more and more like, useful and more popular. Or or US will just have to like mold themselves around crypto. There's only two ways out of this.
I just want to say that this is nothing new for Robinhood, right? We learned this last year with the whole GME fiasco. Not your keys, not your coins. I think in like the Robinhood terms of services, like when you buy something there, it's not your asset. Like they're custodying it on your behalf, and they can trade and buy and sell like on your
It's an
behalf.
IOU.
And stop it. So I'm not surprised by Robinhood's actions. You know, and honestly, I mean, I agree. Like, I wouldn't want some action taken on my account without my permission. But if they got to get these off their books or whatever and remove them, I do think at least they're market selling them and crediting someone's account, so that at least when that person does come back to their account, their money isn't just lost, right? They'll at least have the USD value there. So you know, par for the course for Robinhood, in my opinion, but I'm not surprised. And to your point, Sanjay, this is just more reason for, you know, learning self-custody.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, Iceyyy, let me ask you this. Were you surprised to hear about the bill being introduced today? I mean, do you ever think we're actually going to find some kind of compromise with regulators moving forward, or is it going to take I mean, well, first, do you think this bill has any legs? Do you think it's actually maybe going to go through and have, you know, pass the House, the Senate, and, you know, then Biden? And, you know, do you think we'll ever get to some reasonable place with regulators for Web3?
I mean, I agree with Stash here. It's like, what the heck is going on, right? But on the other hand, I also think that this is just what happens when a new emerging industry is being forged. I mean, we know very well that these senators, these congressmen, these these politicians, if they don't understand Facebook advertising and like, you know, Google Maps and GPS tracking, like, how do we ever expect them to understand crypto, especially in, you know, the short time frame that crypto has been around?
Mm-hmm.
So unfortunately, I just think that this is like the natural you know, consequence and like path of events. You know, we have all these things pop up, and then all these bad things happen because of these bad actors. We have the Luna crash, we have the FTX, we have all these negative things, and then the regulators are spurred into action. And I think that's what we're seeing right now. We're just seeing like them you know, covering their ass, if you will, from, you know, FTX was only 6-7 months ago. I know we're in crypto and everything moves at light speed years, but, you know, the government doesn't work that way. So I think this is a knee-jerk reaction, so that they can say like, hey, we are protecting you know, consumers, and we are acting in their best interest. Look, we're responding to all these things. And I think it's an unfortunate outcome, right? They're regulating by enforcement, which I don't think is the right path forward. So hopefully we'll start to have these conversations. They're looking into some of the actions that Gary Gensler has been taking, and is like, hey, are you actually acting in good faith and, you know, in adherence with your role, or is something else going on? And I think that needs to happen. Ultimately, I think that our industry will survive and thrive. I just think it's going to take a long time to get there. It might be a 5 to 10 year battle. We just have to be realistic about that. The good news for that is that these could be, and not financial advice, but these could be, you know, really great opportunities to get into the market, start dollar cost averaging, start doing your research and learning about it. If you have that thesis that, you know, one day the green light will be given to our industry and we'll have a clear regulatory path for a lot of these tokens to exist and a lot of these, you know, blockchains and these games and all these things to be developed, then that's when we really take off to the moon. So that's going to be really exciting. And I think that this is an unfortunate but necessary part of the path.
I agree with you for the most part there, Iceyyy. I will say one thing though. I feel like if you're going to start getting into crypto now, like maybe just buy Bitcoin, because like, dude, if exchanges are going to start limiting like what you can do with all the coins, like, you know, you don't want to buy something that, you know, the next day is like your withdrawals are limited. And you know, it seems like we're not going to know who's next on the chopping block until this gets resolved. And what it sounds like is it might not be resolved for quite some time. Stash, let me ask you, I mean, why do you think the US and particularly the SEC is so, under Gary Gensler, is so anti-crypto? And do you think that this bill is going to go through? Do you think that if it doesn't, the SEC could kill Web3 and gaming, Web3 gaming in the U.S. here in the U.S. at least?
So a couple of points here. Crypto is not just the U.S., right? I mean, we do make up a fairly significant part, but this is a global thing. Number two, the SEC is helping in a shitty large way the overall trend here in the United States to push crypto overseas. We're going to start losing key people. We're already starting to see that. A lot of these companies that are not on the tier of like a Coinbase or a Gemini, they're like, no, let's just get out. Let's just get out now. We don't want to have to, deal with this. So we're going to lose a lot of talent, and I think lose a lot of the, innovative edge that we may have had here to other countries because of this, right? Think about giving away the innovative edge of the internet early on in like the 2000s. That would have been detrimental, right? When you talk about the development that we've seen here in the United States. So I think it's the same thing with crypto. Now, I will say that we see a lot of times is, trying to make these issues into polarizing issues. There is an election coming up, and I swear every damn time anything like this pops up, they want to make it a left and right issue. And that's disappointing to me because this has to do with a lot. Obviously it affects everybody, and it is not a left or right issue, and it shouldn't be. The one thing I will say about this bill, this SEC, act that they've just literally just dropped today, I think it's actually going in the right direction. What it does is essentially make a committee that is a bipartisan committee, right? Both sides kind of getting together to make this committee that the new kind of chairman status or executive would have to report to and get approval from, which is how it should be, right? There shouldn't be just one dude at the top making everything happen. So I think this is actually a good change, and I would be surprised if we didn't see bipartisan support for this in the House and the Senate, because this is a change that's good for both sides. If you really want to say, oh, is it going to be a polarizing issue? Well, this actually helps both sides, I think. Now, another thing that I saw in chat too, talking about, what is the role of the SEC and what are they really here to do? Well, when you say, well, they're here to protect us. They're to protect us from, these companies that are lying to us. There are a lot of companies lying to us, whether we know it or not. But man, there are so many out there, and for the SEC to say, well, we're going to pick and choose who we're going to go after and not go after these other people, is just a farce, right? And then you want to throw in the whole accredited investor thing. Really what it comes down to is they're just trying to keep poor people out and rich people in to be able to do these things, because that's what it's gated by. It's gated by the amount of money you have. If you're poor, that means you're too stupid to make investments and to make judgments on your own, and we're going to protect you from that. We're going to save you from all these lying companies. But if you're rich, you can go and make all the bad decisions you want. No problem.
But if you're poor, you could also go just buy cigarettes, get drafted.
No, right? Yeah, no. Those things are gamble. Everything else is on board. You can lose your money in stupid ways, but you don't get access to investing or to seed rounds or anything like that because you're too stupid and you're too poor, or you're too stupid because you're too poor. And how does this affect gaming and Web3? Right? I want to bring this all back around. Now, when it comes down to it, some earlier in chat too, someone said, "Well, what about passive income? We don't need to have this, right? We don't need to have passive income. Who doesn't want passive income? What do you mean? How does that help gamers? How does that help humans? How does that help humans? Now, does that mean that every avenue is going to be a legit? No, we've seen this time and time again. But it happens in literally every industry. It's not just not just crypto. It's not like millions and billions of dollars are being lost on these crypto scams that aren't being lost in other ways in other industries. They are, 100%. People are losing their money every single day, whether they know it or not. You want to talk about the biggest thief? Let's talk about inflation. Let's talk about the bullshit CPI numbers and how they keep moving the post and changing it in their favor. Let's talk about
billions of dollars,
income tax, which is also
something
that shouldn't be legal. I mean, there's so many things if you really want to talk about that. And the problem is that it's always pick and choose. It's always pick and choose. And Gary Gensler did that to the extreme, to the max. So hopefully this is going to help everybody across the board. And when you talk about, well, that doesn't matter because even when we get rid of Gary and we get this new SEC act, all these tokens are still going to fail the Howey test. Yeah, I'm sorry, but when it comes down to it, we've innovated so much in the last almost 100 years. Should we be holding our current technology to the standards of the 1930s? Is that really everyone's thing? Oh, well, I don't know, man. 1930s, they had that shit down. They had that shit down. Let's just keep going by that. Don't change it. Don't change it, though. How would we be if the Constitution was the same way? Nah, man, those founding fathers, they got it. They can't be changed. No. We're just going to keep it the same, exactly the way it is. It's just stupid. It's just stupid.
Doesn't make any sense at all, but thankfully we're hopefully about to see some progress here. And you know, I hope you're right, Stash. I hope that we see bipartisan support for this, and that it actually, you know, that we do see some change here for the better here in the U.S. And you know, hopefully, if that happens, we can actually like lead by example for once, and other countries that are, you know, having the same issues we are here. We'll start to see some change as well. But we're running out of time here, which is why I want to get into our last topic here tonight, our lightning round for this episode of Around the Metaverse. On a bit of a lighter note, I want to ask you guys what, you know, here in Web3, we all love, I'm sure, and Web3 and gaming, being, you know, crypto people and gamers, I'm sure all of us have a collection of something and are collectors at heart. I want to ask you guys what your most prized collectible item is that you've gotten over the course of your life, and why. It could be sentimental, could be monetary value, whatever it is. One quick sentence on what your most prized collectible item is. We're going to go in order of Sanjay, Kyle, Iceyyy, and then Stash. Sanjay, you're up first, man. What is your most prized collectible item?
Does it have to be a collectible, or can it be something I earned, like a prize or something?
That, you know, those aren't mutually exclusive.
Okay, because I got that YouTube plaque over there. I don't know if you can see the silver one. That is my most.
Yeah.
Like, you know, back in the day, I worked hard for it, and you know, I reached at a certain level, and that's something I just keep dear to my heart. If I could convert that to or if YouTube can drop me an NFT, like just a silver plaque NFT, which only the silver plaque owners have it, I'll be super happy with that. But that's
pretty sweet. Yeah. Well, hell yeah, man. Congrats on the plaque, and YouTube, if you're listening, drop everyone who's got the YouTube rewards or the, you know, YouTube achievement plaques some NFTs. I'm sure they're working on something like that. Kyle, you're up next, man. What is your most prized collectible item?
It's okay. So I got a couple I do have to highlight. So I got this fan sent me this from my channel. It's a custom made card. It's a physical cutout, but he like literally X-Acto knifed it to one of the NFTs I own, which is a Todd Batman on VV. That's one of my favorite. Another I do have to highlight it again is let me see if I can get it real fast. Is the actual NFT company, you know, sent me this light. It was just like it's cool. You know, I like a lot of platforms and companies out there in the space, and this was kind of cool, just to token of appreciation. And kind of yeah, like they're not doing something like I still want them to do interoperability, self-custody. So like I'm not exactly like happy with them currently, but I did appreciate that because it validated like all these videos and stuff I was doing, you know, before. So just a couple of fan made and one of from the companies, but that's pretty much. I got some other stuff, but yeah, those are kind of my favorites.
Kyle, we know you got collectibles for days, man. We know you got collectibles for days.
Yeah.
Iceyyy, you're up, man. What is your most prized collectible item?
I think my most prized one, I don't have it within reach like Kyle does, but it was probably like the pinnacle of my skateboarding career. I won a pretty big contest in Arizona. I was like really, really sick, but I ended up like pulling out like one of my best tricks, like in the heat of the moment, like last minute kind of thing. It was like this, like, you know, moment of glory. And I won for like the trophy was like a Fender guitar. Which was like really, really cool. And it had like the name of the contest on it and everything. So that was always like a really special moment. But of course, I always have to, you know, this like dropping my mic here. This meant a lot to me from Stash. You know, this was at the Gamers Choice Awards in Miami. I got this little one. You know, he came up on stage and gifted this to me, so that was a special moment, and I really appreciated that. So I always got my little stash right here. You know, got my back.
The digital
Stash,
stash, the digital secret agent stash is unmatched. We
You
need
know
we got to do a second run of those, a limited second edition run.
No, nobody cares.
No. No, man.
I
All
care,
right, stash.
I care.
Yeah, man, I need one. Like, throw them back there.
Last but certainly not least, stash. What's your most prized collectible item?
You guys did a couple. I'm gonna go do two as well. I got one physical. This is one of my most prized collectibles. This is an original Rancor from 1983 or 4.
Wow. Dang.
Rancor. And look, wait, he's got.
Dang, still works.
Still works. And then then digital is the very first CryptoKitty NFT that I bought. He has a mustache just like mine. He's the original stash. And that, I mean, it signifies something to me. It's not that I love CryptoKitties, but it signifies my journey, you know, into NFTs and what set off everything that you see here today.
That's awesome.
CryptoKitties,
awesome.
man. That's a throwback. I would almost bet that like at least half the people watching aren't, you know, privy to CryptoKitties. Maybe
it's worthless now, but it still has a little special place in my heart.
A little special place. CryptoKitty. I'm sure there. You know, that is a good one to have. That is a good one to have. But we're running out of time tonight, folks. I want to thank you guys all for joining us here.
You didn't give us yours. Like, what are yours?
You're right. You're right.
I try to get off the hook.
You're right. No, you're right. Oh shoot, dude, it's up in my room. Oh, all right. I can't. I'm not gonna. I don't have it here to show, but I'm sure some of you who've seen it, who've been hanging around for a little while. I was lucky enough to get staff was lucky enough to gift me one of the Dead Drop Optic Gaming bobbleheads from the Snapshot 4. It was Snapshot 4, right?
Those were
5?
sick. Those are sick.
5, yeah. Snapshot 5 for Dead Drop, which was sick. And then I have some old Bitcoin conference merch and things like that. I don't have any most of my collectible stuff is crypto stuff too, but that's all we got for tonight, folks. Thank you for reminding me, Iceyyy, to do mine. And thank you guys for joining tonight. Sanjay, Kyle, Iceyyy, Stash. If you're here watching still, make sure you guys go to the description and check out the links in the channel, the links to their channels in the description. Spread the love to them as well. And then that's all we got tonight. Check us out next Monday again for another episode at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. But this has been Around the Metaverse. That's all we got, folks. We out.
Peace.